that the Bible tells us that Adam lived over 900 years and he begat sons and daughters.
Sorry, buddy, but it's your Americanized English modern version that says that, okay? Because it's coming from the Catholic Church, the Mother Catholic Church, right? Who wants to be the number one, etc. This guy actually clicks onto it later, but then I think he turns it around again and follows this error. We'll carry on with that.
But it only tells us about 3 sons: Cain, Abel, and Seth.
Over and over we have the biblical pattern throughout Scripture of maintaining purity and not falling into idolatry. God's constant command to his people to follow in a path of commitment.
We know that Cain killed Abel and that his descendants drifted away from God. Yet Seth remained true to God all the way down until this time. And so I believe that in the book of Genesis, the reference to the sons of God merely means the descendants of Seth.
Exactly.
Genesis 4, God says Abel's blood is speaking out of the ground, right? The blood of Abel speaks. That word blood is in Hebrew, damim. It's actually plural. And so the Jewish interpreter said that means it's not only Abel who died, but all of his descendants died when Cain killed him. So,
well, could really say those descendants that were supposed to come from Abel never came, because obviously the seed of his descendants is within himself, so he dies, so they die. They don't exist. That's a better way of putting it, rather than saying, oh, they all died, and people think, well, they were to be born, or they were born or something, and then they suddenly died because Abel died, so Cain didn't just kill Abel, he killed all his descendants. It's a weird way of saying it, putting it, right? It's just basically what we said. His seed to come, his descendants to come, didn't come because he died. He was killed by Cain, in short.
So you have this notion of the descendants of Cain and the descendants of Abel, or the descendants of Seth. The descendants of Seth are the good descendants. The descendants of Cain are the bad descendants.
The tribe of Seth theory is an effort to explain what's going on in Genesis 6 so that there is no thought ever of angels siring other sons on human women.
In Genesis 6, an approach that the two lines are intermingling, that there is a commitment not to the ways of God, not to the spreading of the image of God, but into a pursuit of the flesh, a pursuit of passions, and a devolving into violence.
Some years ago, I was reading the Living Bible, which is a paraphrase.
Okay, that Living Bible is basically the transliterations, interpolations, etc. of the ancient Roman Catholic scribes, monks, translators, etc. Say Martin Luther, then Tyndale, Wycliffe, etc., down through the centuries, who corrupted them all. Okay, so these are the modern American, and they go from the old Germanic, translated into the Latin by Martin Luther, who somebody else, maybe Wycliffe, translates them into, Tyndale translates them, runs away and translates them into English from the Latin, and then down through the centuries it goes through to the Old English, Middle English, Shakespeare speak, Romeo speak, King James Version speak, right? And then eventually it becomes the Americanized English modern versions that you have today in all your Bible versions put out there by the American Bible Societies or similar Bible Societies, who, if you look at the introductions, they say this is a new revision, a new revised version, because we feel that that language has to be updated because modern English evolves, all that sort of stuff. Fair enough, it's a good excuse, but then they say, oh, well, it all came from originally, we translated it, our committee translated it from the original Aramaic, the original Hebrew, Greek, Koine Greek, etc., etc. Bogus, load of rubbish, because they had to translate them from modern vernaculars, because those old dead languages are old dead languages. Nobody writes them, nobody speaks them. They're just dead, kind of way the dodo, the dinosaur, right? So what they would have to do, like Victor and Alexander, is look at those modern vernaculars, like Syriac, the root words, which are very similar to those old manuscript words, right? That's what he worked out. And then, using those root words, he can translate those old, long dead words in that old dead language into the nearest English equivalent. Okay, that's a system that I have to follow. Somebody there would have to be an expert and know how to do that. Okay, rather than go around asking people, write in and tell us what you think when we've revised our third copy, and somebody who's not, maybe not a professional, doesn't have the PhDs, the doctorates, or whatever, suggests, no, that doesn't sound right. You might need to, because of this, change it, whatever. Right? So they go, they go with that. Okay, it goes before a committee who are trans-denominational. They'll probably be Presbyterian, Lutheran, Anglican, etc., from all over the world. Not necessarily those with PhDs, 2 doctorates, all this sort of stuff. Be a mixture who have their own opinion, views, etc., and say, well, I think it means this. I believe it means this. I'm not too sure, but, right? More, they're not as precise as somebody goes, I am a native-born speaker of that language, and this is what it means. Exactly what it means when you translate it into the nearest English equivalent, i.e., like Victor in Alexander from Mesopotamia, Syria, who's a native-born Aramaic speaker, right? In those many dialects, etc., etc., as well as Norwegian, because his wife's Norwegian, right? You see the difference there? Okay.
We know that one of the reasons that I trust the King James Version of the Bible more, even though it's an English that is outdated.
Yeah, Shakespeare speak, Romeo and Juliet speak, and it's very confusing, very hard for people these days to get their head around thou, thee, thy, thou, and so forth.
It is the best English version we have that has been taken directly from the Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic writings of the Bible. Everything else is a transliteration. Many have been translated from the Vatican manuscripts.
Well, that's what the Bible in your hand is, buddy. It's a transliteration from those Roman Catholic Latin versions from Martin Luther down through the centuries, pumped out to you, and you've got a hold of it, you're reading it, believing it. That's the infallible, irrefutable Word of God when it's come from that mother source. So your transliterations you're talking about are actually those transliterations in your hand.
And they've been translated from Latin, so it went into another language first. But the Living Bible said that beings from the spirit world married human beings and had offspring.
So why would you say one thing? I believe that the King James Version or whatever says that these were descendants of the line of Seth, not fallen angels. And then further on you say, my Living Bible that I read, I got in my hand, says that they were sons of God, they were angels who fell, etc. They came down to earth and they had sex, they interbred with human daughters of men, and produced giants. Why would you contradict yourself, right? Isn't that hypocritical? Isn't it being like two-faced? You're saying one thing on one hand, but then you're turning it around saying something completely different. You're agreeing with it, then you're disagreeing with it, and then you're agreeing with it. That's silliness, is it not?
I found this very mysterious because I could not see God crossing that barrier.
How do angels procreate with women? Well, I don't know. But, if the scripture leaves me with that idea.
But the angels weren't created to reproduce. So even John Calvin himself, who was a French theologian back in the early 1500s, I think he passed around 1565, said the thought that an angelic being, and of course there's bad, the 1/3 that was cast out, or you can call them angels, you can call them demons, but
what are demons? In the Galilean Aramaic translation of Revelation by Victor N. Alexander, the native-born Aramaic speaking translator from Mesopotamia, Syria. He has demons in the footnotes, and he describes what they are. Okay, what they actually are. We can look at that. I think it might be Revelation 13, and we'll have a look at the footnotes of it as well. Looking from his Aramaic New Testament, he translated into the nearest English from the original hidden, therefore preserved Galilean Aramaic manuscripts from the Church of the East, Apostolic Church of the East, founded by Thomas. Okay. There should be one here with. Yeah, here we go. Revelation 13:11. And John the Revelator, imprisoned on Patmos Island, he's in exile, saw another demon, and there's a footnote indication there, that rose from the earth. So we looked at the footnotes, and it says 13:1, literal Aramaic idiom, or term of expression, right? Inhumane, or inhuman creature. It's not human, or it's anti-man. It hates man. It's against man, right? Wants to destroy him. Probably because the devil was jealous that man was given the dominion over the earth rather than him. Okay? He lost that authority to have that dominion, or any dream of having that authority of ruling the world. Okay? To man. So he hated him. Right? He hates him. So his minions, these demons, they're led by one or two head demons. Okay, they're in command of all the other ones apparently. They are demonic, they are inhuman creatures, they hate them. That's why you see all these NDEs. People say, I went to hell and this demon was ripping this guy apart and putting him through all this stuff and laughing at him and just giving him so much grief, right? Because they hate man, etc.
It's absurd to think that these beings could reproduce with a woman. That's why God created man.
John Calvin propounds the Seth theory. And part of the reason why he does is because Augustine,
probably another church father, Roman Catholic church father,
another theological heavyweight, propounded the Seth theory.
I have to agree with John Calvin that thought of angels or demons reproducing or having sex with a woman is just it's not possible.
It's bizarre.
It doesn't seem that God would allow angels to interact and have children with human beings, especially in the New Testament. Jesus is talking to the Sadducees and tells them that in heaven there'll be no marriage or given in marriage. And so it's difficult to reconcile that. I was amazed when I first saw it.
St. Augustine. I don't know if you know St. Augustine or not. He is a theological heavyweight. He set the course for so much of Western Christian theology in a lot of areas. Augustine's background was Manichaean. The Manichaeans were a Gnostic group. And Augustine, before he was a believer, before he was converted, he was all into this Manichaean stuff, okay? The Manichaeans, one of their favorite books was the Book of Enoch. And when Augustine got converted and repudiated all of this Manichaean Gnosticism, what do you think he thought about the Book of Enoch then? And so he simply rejects how everybody has been reading Genesis 6, because that's how the Manichaeans read it. You see? Neither one of them are dealing with the hard biblical data.
You see the light bulb?
to me, the Bible says in the King James that they looked upon them and that they were fair. Then it says, and there were giants in those days. Many Bible scholars have believed that early man, that Adam might have been as much as about 9 feet tall, and that we regressed as more and more that sin infected the world. And so,
let's have a look at that for you, say. And the Lord said, my spirit does not reside in a human being forever because he is flesh. And his lifespan became 120 years. So it's that 120 years he had before God did something about it, right? And they were giants in the earth. Okay. They were giants in the earth in those ages and even later. Okay, so it should be there were probably giants in the earth in those ages and even later, because the sons of God entered upon the daughters of men, and there was born to them, these daughters of men, aliens who were giants of universal fame. Okay, it's not saying that these people here were giants like 10 feet tall, 30 feet tall, 400 feet tall, etc. Okay, and here's the footnotes here. Alright, so look at that one again to get it right. For footnote 1. Okay. 6.4 footnote 1. 1 to 3. Literal Aramaic idiom or term of expression. Strange creatures, hybrid forms, monstrously large. So they're bigger than most, right? They're probably like solid ass, yeah, like bodybuilder types. Those real big, yeah, what you see on those movies, real big, bulky frickin' things, you know. Yeah, but they're probably freaks because their DNA, etc., too closely related, human-wise, that they pumped out these hybrid forms, these monstrously large animal instinct following Neanderthals. Yeah. And the Lord saw that men's evil spread on the earth, and every dissipation of their hearts' excuses became worse with every age. Hearts here probably means mind. Okay, in ancient Aramaic or Hebrew. Okay, because the heart doesn't think, the heart doesn't feel. It's just a muscle that pumps the oxygen and the blood around the body. Okay, it doesn't have consciousness, it doesn't have anything. So what they mean in these Eastern languages is the mind. So whatever they came up with was an excuse, and it just got worse and worse. They, I could do this because I'm going to do this because, you know, and they just did it. So the Lord sighed over his creation of Adam on the earth, and there were reservations in his heart. Both Adams, the pre-Adamic Neanderthal, and the human being he created from the dirt, the soil, etc. And the Lord had like reservations, other thoughts in his mind, regrets, etc. And the Lord said, I will wipe out the men. 671 literal Aramaic idiom, human beings. Okay, so they're not angels, fallen angels or anything like that. Okay, it says there clearly, they were men. And the Lord said, I will wipe out the men I have created from the face of the earth, from the human beings to the four-legged animals, from the crawlers to the birds of the sky, because I regretted having created them. 672 literal Aramaic expression, he sighed over them. It saddened him that they'd turned their back on him and become evil, okay, because of this hybridization. And Noah found mercy in the eyes of the Lord, him, his wife, and his 2 sons and their wives. And it goes on about the birth of Noah and his seed or his descendants, his grains, was wholesome, and Noah worshipped God. And to know, okay, so it's talking about his seed, you know. It was all of pureness, all righteousness, okay. So his whole being, even that was deep inside Noah, pleased God because he worshipped God, right? He walked with him in spirit and in truth. So to Noah were born 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth went mad before God, and the earth became full of abomination. That's blasphemies, nonsense, perversions, wickedness, unrighteousness, all manner of evil. Hitler was a fairy compared to these guys. And God saw the earth's madness as all flesh had lost its direction toward him on earth. They weren't listening to him, they turned their back on him, and they did all these horrible, evil, wicked things. Yeah, which is Satan was there rubbing his hands. Oh, goody, goody, goody. Look what I've done. And the Lord said, all flesh has gone mad before me, because the earth has been filled by abomination or unrighteousness before them. Behold, or look, I will abandon them to their madness together with you. So he just said, right, you want to follow that unrighteousness, that perversion, that filth? Off you go. But he says to Noah, all flesh has gone mad before me, because the earth has been filled by abomination before them. Behold, I will abandon them to their madness together with the earth. And he tells them, make yourself an ark of wood from the root, with curved chambers providing strength, and seal it from the outside and the inside with tar. And thus make the ark this length, that length, right? And I, behold, shall bring a deluge, or flood of water, over the face of the earth, to undo everything from every form of living flesh under the sky, so that everyone on earth is drowned. Okay, what? Understand that he's talking about the earth, the world, in that particular area, the Middle East, that region, right? Where they were all slowly interbreeding, etc., right? Okay, so is this before the Tower of Babel? Okay. Looks like it is. Okay. So he destroys all those beings in those areas. Okay. With this great deluge. It's not saying it's worldwide. There probably was a second one when the ice age came. The ice caps were melted and all that sort of stuff in it. Say a meteorite or whatever came from space, an asteroid, whatever, it hit the earth, caused tidal waves, floods, whatever, and destroyed the dinosaurs, just flooded everything, right? That could have been the one. That's the one you think it is, but it's not actually the one of biblical proportion, right? As we earlier stated, there was disastrous floods in the Mesopotamian region. From the New Third Revised Edition of the Timetables of History by Bernard Gruen, based upon Werner Steiner's Culture Farplan, page 3, under G. Is that Daily Life? Yeah, Daily Life, page 3, in that book, if you can get hold of it or find it online. Okay, so after 120 years, he decides, right, that's it, everybody hop in the ark, you, your family, your males, females, all these animals, all that sort of stuff. The flood is coming, and the waters cover the earth completely for 150 days. Okay. And all flesh that crawled on the earth disappeared, birds and animals, creatures, and every creature that roamed the earth, and all humanity. And all flesh that crawled on the earth disappeared, birds, animal, creatures, every creature that roamed the earth, and all humanity. Whoever had the living breath of life in their nostrils from all the dry lands died. And everything that stood over the surface of the earth disappeared, from the human being to the animal, the crawlers, the birds of the sky, they all disappeared from the earth. And only Noah and those with him in the ark remained. And the waters covered the earth completely for 150 days. Okay. It's talking about that region where they all were, because nobody had migrated yet. As far as we know biblically, none of them had walked all the way down to Australia or sailed off to New Zealand or anything like that. They were all in that main geographical location that these scriptures are talking about.
That giants still remain, because what we're talking about is the era just before the flood, when everyone but Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives would be wiped off the face of the earth.
I mean, lots of people say, how can angels possibly procreate with humans? You know, that doesn't work, they say. It's not possible. Blah, blah, blah. Well, if we have some other explanation for what Genesis 6 is talking about, then we don't have to even worry about why angels are able to procreate with humans.
Okay, we're just pondering. Okay, yeah. So Noah, his wife, his 3 sons with their 3 wives, who later had sons and daughters of their own. There's no one else on the planet, on Earth, because they're all dead, they're all gone because of that flood. But then they come out and then they start to drop children, and then their children had children, and their children had children who had children who had children. So somewhere along the way, if there's only 8 beings left on the planet, those who came out of the ark, there's nobody else, then where did these giants come from? They should have all been killed off, right, because of that flood, right? We have read that in Jewish scriptures, something like that, they were so many feet tall, 100 feet tall or whatever, so they could breathe above the flood waters or whatever, not drown or whatever. And in the Quran, apparently, they're like 400 feet tall, according to that, so they could stand above the waters and not drown and all this sort of stuff. So that could be a possible explanation of why there were Nephilim, or these giants, these hybrids, after that flood, right? And everything dried up, and then Noah and his sons and wives, their wives come out and had children, dropped children, created more descendants, who went across the land, settled there in different locations, had their children who had children who had children, but then one decides, well, they've got everything we want, so we go invade them, even though they were cousins, they're close kin, right? Only separated by distance, location, and space, right? So maybe they interbreed there, or those 3 wives were hybrids of those Neanderthal hybrids. All right, something like that. We have to look deeper into it and see if they're actually specifically non-interbred peoples. They didn't go mix with another race that they came across they came from a different race prior to the flood. Those 3 wives, who then got pregnant to the people of the pure line of Noah, of God, and then when they pumped out these descendants, who then had descendants who had descendants, they were hybrids. That Japheth, Cam, and Shem didn't have hybrids. Yeah, it just came across us. It was like, where did these frickin' giants that were still around come from? Either the Jewish are right, in the Quran, the Muslims are right that they were like 100 to 400 feet tall, so they could stick their nose above the water and not drown, okay, until it was all over. Maybe. That's interesting theory there. Go ahead and research it and find out for yourself. Bring us the evidence. Alright. Not these fairy tales or anything, but the actual evidence. Be it somebody found these bones, etc., etc., and all that, the real stuff, the established facts, the evidence that proves itself evident. None of this phony baloney fairy tale stuff. Oh, it's in the Quran, it says this. We're not doubting the Quran or whatever. We're just saying, don't come and tell us silly stuff like Muhammad met Jesus and Moses on this fiery phoenix, a mythical beast or a mythical creature, rises from the ashes, all that sort of stuff, and flew to Mecca. Okay, that's myth. Okay, we want hard evidence that these giants were on the earth walking around after this supposed flood. Okay, so if you like this video so far, then subscribe to our channel. Give us a like, add your comments below. We're really interested in what other people have to say in regards to these Nephilim, all this sort of stuff. Don't quote us 10,000 pages of the Bible when it doesn't lead us anywhere, okay? We're open to your opinions, your claims, your views. We'll have a look at them and get back to you on those and verify to you that, okay, that's true, you said it's true, because of the evidence, that's proved itself evident, etc., etc., or it's a total, we debunk it because it's a total load of rubbish, right? We look at what evidence there is behind the scenes, okay, we'll tell you nicely why that's not actually true, and we'll provide you the sources, the links, all the information to verify that. We aren't always right, but remember, we are human, and to err is human, but to forgive is divine. Okay, we are human, which proves we're human. When we make mistakes, we will look at it, and if we made a mistake, we will say, well, you're right, we apologise, we did make a mistake, and show appreciation to you for bringing us that real evidence. Okay, so yeah, subscribe to us, give us a like, add your comments below the video, and share this video, our YouTube videos with your friends, family, whoever really wants to know the truth about what the scriptures really, really say. Blessed be your day, enjoy the rest of it, be it day, afternoon or evening.